Let's talk about CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans because they are coming off a phenomenal season. Not only did they win their division, but they also went out there and won a playoff game as well. They did lose against the Baltimore Ravens in terrible fashion in the playoffs. They lost to them twice, once in the regular season when the offensive line was beat up and in the playoffs as well. But when you look at this Houston Texans team right now, it's not far off to say that they could be a legitimate Super Bowl contender in the AFC. And I know to some people that may be crazy to say because you have Joe Burrow coming back with the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to be a threat. The Kansas City Chiefs are always going to hang around as long as Patrick Mahomes is there. And the Baltimore Ravens are a tough team as well. But when you look at those other teams like the New York Jets or maybe the Buffalo Bills, you can really make the argument that the Houston Texans have more talent, if not are more talented than some of those teams, and they have better coaching as well. CJ was a rookie and had a great rookie season, and it basically prompted the Houston Texans to go out there and say, you know what? Let's load this roster up with talent like Joe Mixon, Stefon Diggs, and let's go get Danielle Hunter as well, and let's go all in. And it's one of the best decisions that you can do, especially when you have a franchise quarterback. I expect for CJ to take that next step into becoming a legitimate top 5 quarterback in the NFL. You can make the case that this season that he was, that at the same time is just 1 year he was a rookie. I think that CJ would be even better because they're adding in weapons like Joe Mixon and Stefon Diggs, and I want to start there. Stefon Diggs, amazing wide receiver, but he can be a diva at times. If the Houston Texans are not winning football games and he's not getting the ball, he may go out there and complain to the coaches. He may go out there and complain to CJ and say, hey, give me the football just a little bit more. There's one misconception with Stefon Diggs. A lot of analysts will come on here and say, Stefon Diggs wants the football. He doesn't care about winning. I saw the Buffalo Bills not give him the football that much on the back half of the season. But they're winning football games. You didn't hear much from Stefon Diggs. But when they started losing and he wasn't able to go out there and have the impact that he wanted, that is when the complaining starts. You can look at it 2 different ways. He has a lot of emotion, or you can just say that he's a diva wide receiver. 2 things can be true. But I expect for Stefon Diggs to have a great season with the Houston Texans, and I expect for them to go out there and make a very good playoff run as well if they can't stay healthy. The interesting thing about adding in a guy like Stefon Diggs, you already have great pieces in Tank Dell, who had a phenomenal rookie season before he broke his leg against the Denver Broncos. He's a guy that can play inside and outside the slot, can take the top off the defense, 15 yards a catch, 7 receiving touchdowns for 709 receiving yards. And he did that on only 47 catches. And he missed time this season as well, dealing with a concussion. This is the thing with Tank Dell. He is so good and so smooth with his routes that he could be a true number 1 option for the Texans. Nico Collins was the number 1 option this season with the Houston Texans. A lot of that is because of play calling by Bobby Slowick and because of how great CJ was in his rookie season. Nico Collins is the number 1 option. So is Stefon Diggs. So you can still do wide receiver by committee. You can't just go out there and double cover or bracket cover a guy like Stefon Diggs because Nico Collins can beat single coverage. And the same with Tank Dell as well. So it opens up this offense even more. And when I look at the addition of Joe Mixon, I believe that he is a better running back than Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary was not a bad running back with the Houston Texans last season, but he was not supposed to be the leading running back. It was supposed to be Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce struggled immensely in his second season in the NFL because of coaching change. His first season, very good power back, and he's still a very good power back, but he only averaged 3 yards a carry. He can go out there and get you the tough 2 to 3 yards. He's going to always have a place with the Houston Texans. He even had a kick return this season, which is crazy to think about because you don't think about explosiveness and speed with Dameon Pierce, but he's sneaky in that department. I expect for him to have a bounce back season. The reason why he struggled more than Devin Singletary this season was because the offensive line dealt with all those injuries. And it was more of a zone read type of system with the run game. Bobby Slowick is a guy that wants to pull guards and pull tackles and swing those guys around. Dameon Pierce just goes straight up the middle. And you're going to have some of those plays as well. But having Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce, that's a very good 1-2 punch with the Houston Texans moving forward. And Joe Mixon can also go out there and catch the football at the backfield as well. And the thing is with the Stefon Diggs contract, it's basically just a 1-year deal. If he goes out there and he causes a lot of problems, you don't have to bring him back. If he still looks like the Stefon Diggs of old with the Minnesota Vikings, even with the Buffalo Bills, you can keep him around for the next 2 to 3 years. So it's a win-win situation. You get CJ another very good wide receiver that's a veteran that has played with very good quarterbacks in the past like Kirk Cousins and Josh Allen. He has such a great impact on Josh Allen. He helped him take his game to the next level. And that's what a lot of things that people forget about with Stefon Diggs. He helped elevate quarterbacks. You're hoping that he can go out there and help elevate CJ to that next level. Now look at the offensive line. Like I mentioned a couple seconds ago, they dealt with injuries. For the first 3 weeks of the season, the offensive line was decimated. But CJ continued to get better week after week after week. And also give Bobby Sloyd credit as well, because they were getting the football out quicker and they designed their plays around the offensive line not being particularly healthy. You went into the second round because this team did not have a first round pick. They trade out the first round, and you drafted Blake Fisher, a very good tackle from Notre Dame. He could play left tackle. He can play right tackle. Laramie Tunsil, very good tackle. Missed some time this season. Titus Howard, very good offensive lineman. Missed some time this season as well. You go out there, you have Blake Fisher. He can come in and he can sub in for any one of these guys if they do go down. You also have Kenyon Green, who has not developed to that next level. Not a terrible offensive lineman, in my opinion, but he is leaving a lot of meat on the bone. I expect for him to be a better player for his upcoming season. It's going to be one of those situations. It's either put up or shut up, but he is a younger offensive lineman, and he has looked better throughout the last couple of years with the Houston Texans. You also have Shaq Mason at the right guard position, a very good solid veteran to have. So this offense, you can make the case that they're going to be one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL with just the names that they have. But you also have to worry about some other things going on as well with those injuries. That's why you went to the NFL draft and you got some depth pieces that could come in and help out the team immediately. Even when they dealt with injuries, they still won football games. We can go back late in the season when CJ suffered that concussion. They still won football games with CJ being out of the lineup. That is just a credit to how great DeMeco Ryans was in that first season with the Houston Texans and how great Bobby Sloyd was as well. And when you look at the tight end spot, they signed Dalton Schultz to a 3-year extension. Very solid tight end to have. But in the 4th round, they went out there and they drafted Cade Stover, tight end from Ohio State. Can come in and they can run a 2 tight end set possibly, but I expect for him to be the replacement for Dalton Schultz long term. Just because it's a 3-year extension does not mean that they're going to keep him around for the next 3 years with the Houston Texans. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to look at as well. But Dalton Schultz has some good moments. One of the few reasons why the Houston Texans lost against the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs, their defense was able to go out there and they were able to make some moves here and there early on, but their offense was not able to get going because the offensive line wasn't healthy and the wide receivers, they weren't able to get open. Nico Collins was the only guy that was going to go out there and be an option for against the Baltimore Ravens. Remember, Tank Dell was out because he had that leg injury. So adding in Stefon Diggs, it goes back to my original point. It only helps him out. Adding in another tight end in the NFL draft only helps out because those are essential pieces that you can't have if another guy goes down. It was messed up to see CJ try to look for Robert Woods as a number 2 option in the playoffs, knowing that he was not going to be the guy to get open over and over again against that tough Baltimore Ravens defense. But I expect for them to play better against teams like the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens with the moves that they have made. If I would have said this 3 to 4 years ago when they traded Deshaun Watson, a lot of people would have called me crazy. And a lot of people back then, they hated on Nick Caserio. But give that man his flowers right now. He's turned his team into a legitimate contender over the last couple of years. And when I look at the defense for the Houston Texans, they're very good all season long. You had pass rush coming from every which way. Will Anderson was phenomenal his rookie season. Only 7 sacks, but the pressure rate was high. For the first half of the season, he was not able to go to the quarterback and bring the quarterback down, but he was in the quarterback's face all game long. It's a special rookie. His rookie season, and he's going to be phenomenal moving forward. I compare him to Nick Bosa. I think that he may have a higher ceiling than Nick Bosa. We will see. And the only reason I believe that is because DeMeco Ryans played a great part in developing Nick Bosa to that next level. The same with Robert Saleh as well. Before DeMeco Ryans became the defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers, but DeMeco Ryans was on that coaching staff, and he predicates his defense off of pass rush and linebackers making tackles in space. So a guy like Will Anderson is going to get special attention by DeMeco Ryans. I expect for him to be a franchise pass rusher for the next decade plus. They did lose Jonathan Grenard, who led this team in sacks, but they went out there and they signed Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter fits this system like a glove. A very good defensive end coming from the Minnesota Vikings. 16.5 sacks on the season, 4 forced fumbles, is a very good pass rusher. And this is what you need in this division. because just because the Houston Texans, they're making moves doesn't mean that other teams in the division have not made moves either. The Tennessee Titans, they could be tough. You want to have that pass rush to go out there and get quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence, like Will Levis, like Anthony Richardson, and track those guys down. You have two athletic freaks on the end now, and Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson as well. And you also went out there and you signed Nico Autry, who can get you pass rush up through the middle of the field in that interior defensive line spot. 11.5 sacks on the season, 2 forced fumbles. What is something that every Super Bowl team has had over the last couple of years? Very good wide receivers, but they have had a very good quarterback, which the Houston Texans have, and CJ. Strong run game. I expect for them to have that with Damian Pierce and Joe Mixon. But on the defensive side, pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. We can look at it with the Kansas City Chiefs this year when they defeated the San Francisco 49ers. They had pass rush to go get Brock Purdy. We can go back a couple of years ago when the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Patriots with Tom Brady. They had pass rush. Now you have 3 guys on this team that can go out there and get you over double-digit sacks in the season. That's going to be phenomenal to see. And sometimes it's not even about getting sacks. It's just about going back there and putting enough pressure on the quarterback to force him to be uncomfortable and throw the football into terrible situations across the middle of the field so guys like Derek Stingley Jr. or Jimmy Ward can go back there and intercept the football. Things of that nature. And speaking of their secondary wasn't the strongest. When Derek Stingley Jr. went down, their defense did not look the same on the back end. Even when he came back, it didn't look the same. Derek Stingley Jr. was amazing this season. 5 sacks, 5 interceptions, 13 pass deflections. Very good cornerback. Number 1 corner. But you had Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson wasn't bad, but at the same time, he had a lot of bad moments. Thing is with Steven Nelson, he was just a plug-and-play guy. In the second round, you did draft a cornerback that can go out there and match up very well with Derek Stingley Jr. and Kamari, the cornerback from Georgia. Great in man-to-man situations. The one thing that we know about DeMeco Ryans, even going back to when he was the offensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers, they played a lot of man coverage. And that was the Achilles heel with the Houston Texans defense this season. They were not able to go out there and cover guys and blanket those guys down. You have that pass rush now, and you have those cornerbacks that can go out there and be very physical with you at the line of scrimmage, and they can bump you off your routes. It's going to only continue to help out the safeties and guys like Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward. And speaking of Jalen Petrie, very good his rookie season. His sophomore season, his first season with DeMeco Ryans, didn't look as good. He got benched. He didn't have the best games, but they did draft a safety out of USC who is very good, and Kalen Bullock. When you think of USC and you think of teams that are being coached up by Lincoln Riley, you don't think of defense, but this kid is special, can make tackles in space, and is a cover machine. He had 5 interceptions in 2022, and in 2023, he had 2 interceptions as well. And he had 42 solo tackles. He can make tackles in space. You can put him inside, and you can just put him at the free safety position as well. And if Jalen Petrie cannot go out there and figure things out, I expect for Kalen Bullock to go out there and take that starting spot. He was selected in the 3rd round for a reason, but regardless, you're going to see a lot of him, and he can have a solid defensive rookie season as well. So when I look at this Houston Texans team, they have a lot of talent. They're young, and their coaching staff is only going to get better with experience as well. It is a tough division because the Jacksonville Jaguars were 8-3 before they dealt with all those injuries. You have to take that into account. The Tennessee Titans could be a tough team to defeat as well. They no longer have Derrick Henry. We'll see how their run game hits. But they made some nice moves around Will Levis. We'll see if he is the guy. And the thing is with Indianapolis Colts, they could be a tough team if Anthony Richardson can be that franchise quarterback. So it's not going to be easy for the Houston Texans. But right now on paper, they for sure have their franchise quarterback, and they have the right veterans around this kid. I expect for this thing to work out. Is it a chance that it could fall out and things could not work out with Stefon Diggs and Joe Mixon? It's that possibility. But at the same time, they're older veterans, but they're not that old. Joe Mixon is still a very good running back in the NFL. Stefon Diggs is not just a major headache. He's not like how Antonio Brown was in the last 3 years of his career. Stefon Diggs will still go out there and be very productive, and I believe that he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be upset about the fact that the Buffalo Bills moved on from him, and he built up a very good relationship with Josh Allen. We have to take that into account as well. It may have been some moments to where he wasn't as comfortable with Josh Allen, or he soured on Josh Allen, but early in, he had a very good rapport with Josh Allen. I expect for him to have a very good rapport with CJ as well. And CJ is a guy that is easy to get along with. You hear all the interviews about the players say, hey, he's an easy guy. He'll get you the football. He'll try to get you involved as much as possible. You don't want to hurt the team by doing that, but getting a monster like Stefon Diggs is definitely a Super Bowl push. and a winning right now type of move, especially with all these guys being on their rookie contracts, guys like CJ Stroud, guys like Will Anderson. So you're not really paying anyone except for your top veterans. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Houston Texans, and are they a legitimate Super Bowl threat in the AFC? And if they're not, let me know in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.